Welcome back to the archive. I am Diotrephes. When we look at the map of Tamriel today, torn apart by the Three Banner War, it is easy to focus only on the present. But every war in Tamriel is a symptom of a much older, deeper wound. The Aldmeri Dominion, the Daggerfall Covenant, and the Ebonheart Pact are not merely political factions. They are the psychological manifestations of ancient history. To understand the bloody borders of the Second Era, we cannot just look at kings and generals. We must look at the birth of the world itself. Today, we are going to explore how the scars of creation dictates the border of today. The scrolls are open. Let us begin. In the beginning, before time was linear, there was only stasis and change. Anu and Padomai. From their interplay came the primordial spirits, the CITED. But existence was formless until the entity known as Lorkhan proposed a radical idea, the creation of a mortal realm, Nirn. But creation required sacrifice. These spirits who agreed to help build his world, the Adra, were forced to tear off pieces of their own divine essence to form the laws of nature. To the ancestors of man, the wandering Elnophi, Lorkhan was a savior who gifted them the trial of mortal life. But to the ancestors of the elves, the old Elnophi, Lorkhan was a deceiver. They believed the creation of Nirn robbed them of their divine, eternal nature, trapping them in a mortal prison of flesh and disease. This philosophical schism between those who love the world and those who resent it is the tectonic plate beneath every conflict in history. The Merethic era belonged to the elves. They built glittering, continent-spanning empires, while early humans lived in scattered, primitive tribes. But the First Era officially begins in the year 0 with the founding of the Tamriel dynasty. It is defined by one terrifying reality for the Elven races, the ascension of man. Over the next 3,000 years, the children of Lorkhan violently dismantled Elven supremacy. In Skyrim, the Nords overthrew their dragon overlords. In CITED, the human slaves shattered the Iliad Empire. The First Era proved that the physical world belonged to humanity, and the philosophical scars of that shift dictate the borders of the Second Era. Let us look at the Aldmeri Dominion. The High Elves of Somerset carry the resent of creation in their very blood. They believe they are the direct, pure-blooded descendants of the trapped gods. In the First Era, their philosophical resentment of humanity became a philosophical reality. In First Era 243, the White Gold Tower fell to the human slave queen, Alicia. What followed was the Alician Order, a fanatical human cult that not only hunted elves to near extinction, but attempted to magically alter the god of time himself to remove his elven traits, causing a catastrophic shattering of time known as a dragon break. When Queen Nirn forms the Dominion in the Second Era, it is an intervention. The Altmer look at the chaos of CITED and see the children of Lorkhan literally breaking the universe. They fight to reclaim the Ruby Throne because history has taught them that men are too reckless to rule the prison they created. In the Northwest, the Daggerfall Covenant presents a stark contrast. The Bretons are literally the genetic byproduct of the First Era, the descendants of elven lords and their human concubines. They are people caught between the two great philosophies, Their foundation was laid in First Era 482 at the Battle of Glenumbra Moors, stopping the fanatical Aletian Empire. But the First Era here was defined by displacement and endless slaughter. In First Era 808, the Red Guards arrived from their sunken continent of Yokuda, carving a bloody path through Hammerfell and massacring anyone in their way. Meanwhile, the Orcs, the pariah folk, faced the agonizing 30-year siege on their homeland, Orsinium. High King Emeric's Covenant is a rejection of this tribalism. It is a pragmatic, mercantile calculation. By offering the Orcs a restored Orsinium and the Red Guards a stabilized border, Emeric took three races defined by displacement and used the psychological exhaustion of the First Era to forge the most politically stable alliance of the Second Era. And then we look to the east, the Ebonheart Pact, an alliance that defies all historical and cultural logic. Throughout the First Era, the Nords and the Dummer were locked in a cycle of generational slaughter. The Nords came from frozen continent of Atmora with a violent manifest destiny, conquering Morrowind in First Era 240. The Elves were forced to unite just to repel them. This culminated in the Battle of Red Mountain in First Era 700, a conflict so cataclysmic it caused the disappearance of the entire Dwemer race and the cursing of the Dark Elves. Furthermore, both of these races spent centuries dragging Argonians from the Black Marsh in chains. The Ebonheart Pact is not an alliance of shared values. It is an alliance of absolute, desperate survival, forged only because an Akaviri invasion in the Second Era threatened to wipe them out. It is a fragile coalition of ancient, blood-soaked enemies, held together only by the gravity of the Scald King and the living gods of the Tribunal. The Three Banner War is not a new conflict. It is the First Era and the Dawn Era before it, echoing into the present. The scars of creation dictate the borders of today. As we continue to document the lore of Tamriel, remember that every sword swung in Cyrodiil is driven by a memory from thousands of years ago. If you seek to understand the minds behind the empires, subscribe and join the archive. The scrolls are open. Let us listen to the echoes.